Most people want to feel better, work smarter, and enjoy greater rewards. That means putting in the right kind and quantity of effort in the short run to create more time, energy, and fulfillment in the long run. We use a best practice from education and greatly expand upon it. We'll be explaining all about it here and why it matters. We use a systemic change model that gets at the root causes under all struggles in people and between them. Other organizations provide a one-time training session or training campaign. We know what it takes to instill into every person a common set of healthy insights and behaviors that bring extraordinary cohesion. The term flipped training came out of education. It's a best practice because educators found that students would only learn information long enough to pass a test when they were taught passively and in only one pass. So they found that if they gave the students content first on their own to review it, reflect on it, and write about it, and then come back to the classroom the next day to talk about it with their classmates and look at its relevance, make sure they understood it, and talk about how they'd apply it, the information stuck. The students owned and applied the content. So in flipped training, even though it's got the word training in it, it's really multiple exposure and engagement with content. So on the training side of it, it's individual online training modules. It's filling out a workbook. It's completing a post-training reflection survey. It's participating in monthly group review sessions, which includes everyone taking a turn leading at least one of these group sessions on a rotational basis. When you do lead a group session, you spend time in a group facilitator prep session with your Lifework Systems oversight consultant. Other ways that you're engaging with the content include monthly mentoring sessions or joining a committee to find ways to keep integrating the culture concepts and tools, or becoming a culture subject matter expert who interviews, onboards, and supports new employees into your culture transformation process. So what we've done is we've taken that best practice in education and we've gone to the next level with it, where we've kind of taken that flipped idea and put it on steroids. And I want to just walk you through kind of an at-a-glance review of the content that's included in the comprehensive implementation process. We have multiple types of assessments. Next, there are 3 types of training. The first are preparation modules, and each month everyone watches an individual training module and completes a workbook. And then after they complete the module and the workbook, each person fills out a post-training reflective survey. Every month, small groups of 10 or less people meet in mixed groups in which executives, mid-level management, supervisors, and frontline staff all take turns participating in these meetings and running these meetings. Each month's group leader works with a Lifework Systems oversight consultant. The consultant is also present during all the group sessions as a support to the staff leader. Another way that people regularly engage in the content is through phone apps and reference tool booklets. This leads me to the next step, mentoring. Everyone, every month, engages in peer and reverse mentoring, both giving and receiving support. Throughout the mentoring process, the Lifework Systems consultant oversees mentoring sessions. In this way, each of the mentoring pairs has been overseen at least 4 times by the end of the year, and that way everyone is able to maintain the process properly beyond the project and has the ability to understand what's been learned and how it's used in real-time situations at work and sometimes at home. Next, culture integration is another way that members of the organization are involved in supporting the culture model so that the concepts and tools are kept front and center and made operational in the day-to-day functioning of the organization. There's skills coaching that is reviewed with select project participants who are learning how to use the culture model, concepts, and tools to support skills mastery, and sometimes during things like mediation when there's a problem and they need someone to oversee that problem. Finally, those who are most drawn to the model from any level in the organization are often selected to develop into subject matter experts who help to onboard, oversee, and mentor new project groups through the process and are often the go-to for various tools and concepts. The bottom line is that because of the repetition of review and application individually, in partners, and in groups, the culture, concepts, and tools are retained and they remain valuable in maintaining all the good that the organization seeks, including emotional intelligence, psychological safety, and cohesive teamwork. Hopefully with this information in front of you, you can see how many and how varied the touch points we've built into our implementation process. Remember, anything important and worth learning requires that people put in sufficient time and effort, which is why we want to share this next question and story with you now. Why is an immersion process crucial? Here's a story that best illustrates this. I worked with a group of 52 leaders who ranged from supervisors up through executives, anyone with direct reports at a company of 550 people. Rather than engage in an immersive process, or what we sometimes call a deep dive project, they asked for a review process of all of our more than 30 concepts and tools that are in our culture change process. They asked me to deliver content from the individual online training modules and to do this over Zoom to help them briefly engage in understanding the complete program. I delivered what is now called our leader review. In one of the initial sessions, I introduced some tools that were designed to reduce or eliminate gossip. One of those tools was called the Mind Trust. This is a face-to-face agreement between two people in which they make 4 commitments to each other. They say, I won't say bad things about you behind your back. I'll come to you if I have a problem with you to work it out. If anyone else comes to me to say bad things about you, I'll stop them. And I'll encourage this person to go to you and work it out so that they don't hold on to a grudge or take it to others. The group got really excited about this tool, and they agreed when I asked them to make this commitment to every one of the 52 leaders in their group before the next session. They enthusiastically agreed. At the end of 6 months, one of the leaders, who was a director over 8 other leaders in his department, called me and he said, there are 9 of us who were part of the leader review process. We've learned so much from you, but we're really not sure how to apply what we've learned, and we're still having a lot of interpersonal problems among us. Can you come in and work with us for a while to help us learn how to apply what we've learned? And I said, I'm going to be talking to your CFO today. I'll find out if there's budget for this. So when I called the CFO and I asked her about this director's request, this is what she told me. Oh, he really needs this. He was in a meeting with his leaders and he was saying bad things about me, and it upset 2 of them so much that they came and told me all the bad things that he said about me. And that's when I asked her, did you ask them if they stopped him? Because don't they have a mind trust with you? And she said, oh, I didn't think of that. And then I said, then I guess you didn't ask them if they went to him directly because they had a mind trust with him. And she said, no, I didn't think of that either. And then I said, once you knew that this director was saying bad things about you, did you go to him directly and bring it up to him because of the mind trust you have with him? And she said, no, actually, I went and I told on him to his boss. And then she said, I found out he was at the meeting too, and he didn't stop him either. And even though we have a mind trust. And then she said to me, what is wrong with all of us? And I was able to say to her, there's nothing wrong with you. Because you just did a skim of this material, when you received the mind trust, it was like I gave you a tennis racket and you all thought it made you tennis players. The reality is that getting a tennis racket alone is not a replacement for watching the game, learning the nuances and rules, considering all that goes into it, getting out on the tennis court, receiving coaching, falling in love with tennis, and developing muscle memory. It's the time that we put into the learning, the practicing, and really finding the value that makes the skills stick and be useful. And this is why we tell this story, because the immersive process requires 4 to 4.5 hours per month for a year. To master new concepts and manage new behaviors, we must go out of our way to learn them. Otherwise, what's learned becomes like a new tennis racket, briefly enjoyed and then put away and forgotten.